Welcome to another installment of the Robinson Twins present Earth is Our Spherical Home Planet. In this installment we'll be responding to things we've seen on social media. People comment back and forth, but we've seen one in particular. It's just an image of a list that purports to say that the whole heliocentric model is a deception, trying to keep us from seeing reality, when this is really just another posting that flat earthers make that is very easy to debunk, as you'll soon see. So here's the list that we got directly off of a Facebook posting. It's called 33 Degrees of the Heliocentric Deception, making reference to the Freemasonry, which has 33 degrees of honor, and a book was written by Tom McKinney called 33 Degrees of Deception. So they're trying to put heliocentrism in there as a form of deception. Heliocentrism being the scientific principle that all the planets, including Earth, orbit the Sun. In looking through the list, it became immediately obvious to us that this person was trying to invoke the mark of the beast in the Bible's book of Revelation to show the number 666 is not just heliocentrism that's evil, it's actually an attack on science generally. In fact, many of the items in this list don't even relate to heliocentrism, but you can't expect anti-science people to come up with logical, reasoned arguments, can you? So let's go through first what the Mark of the Beast actually says in the Bible. In the King James Version of the Bible, Revelation 13 verse 18 says, "Here is wisdom, let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Score is equal to 20, so 3 score is 60. So it has to be 666. 6 in the hundreds place, 6 in the tens place, and 6 in the ones place. Not any 3 sixes, just stuck together. In looking through this list, we immediately noticed that out of the 31 items that are on the list, we could immediately cross off 28 of them because they don't match the number 666. That only leaves 3. But we'll go through them anyway. What this clearly shows, though, is not a reasoned argument for a position in science, but a level of desperation to make something fit the narrative that doesn't fit at all. The list has 31 items and counts down to 1, so we'll start with number 31. And one thing you'll notice all along the way is that the units he uses, miles, nautical miles, kilometers, and temperature scales, Fahrenheit, Celsius, and Kelvin, weren't even invented or created when the Bible was written. Okay, first, number 31 says the Earth's circumference is 600 times 6 times 6 nautical miles. Our response is in orange on the screen there. It's equal to 21,600 nautical miles. That doesn't make 666. So it's not even relevant to the biblical number thereafter. And another question, what does the circumference of the Earth actually have to do with heliocentrism? This isn't an attack on heliocentrism at all. So it's a fail. Okay, number 30 is the speed of sound is 666 knots per second. Well, already you can see the anti-science people don't know what they're talking about, because knots is already a speed. It means nautical miles per hour. So adding per second at the end makes it an acceleration. It's not a speed anymore. So they got it wrong. But the speed of sound changes depending on the temperature and air pressure. And at sea level, it's about 662 to 668 knots. So they just picked a middle number in the middle and thought that proved something, but it doesn't. And besides, how is the speed of sound relevant to the heliocentrism? It's irrelevant. So we have another fail. Number 29, the force of gravity on Earth is 666 newtons. Again, somebody proving they don't know science, because newtons is a force on the Earth's surface of mass times the force of gravity. So 666 divided by 9.8 meters per second squared, the acceleration caused by gravity would give you 67.96 kilograms or 149.8 pounds. Is there something evil about those weights? This is totally irrelevant to heliocentrism besides, so another fail. Number 28, the heliocentric curvature math is based on 666. which is a false statement. First of all, heliocentric added in there. It's really curvature is for the spherical Earth, not the heliocentric model, so this isn't even relevant. But it says it's based on 666. No, it's not. At 1 square mile, which should have said linear mile, there is 0.666 feet of curvature. It's usually written as 8 inches, not feet. You could also say for feet, it's 2/3. Nothing evil about that, and it still doesn't match the number that's in the Bible. And the rest of this, about 10 miles, 66.6 feet, 100 miles, 6,666.6 feet. None of those match the number in the Bible either, so this isn't even relevant to the Bible he's trying to invoke here, and it's certainly not relevant to the heliocentric model. Let's wait to see if somebody, one of these statements even addresses heliocentrism. So far they haven't. And that's another fail. Number 27. The Arctic and Antarctic circles are at exactly 66.6 degrees. Actually, if you want to be exact, the axial tilt of the Earth is 23.44 degrees, which you subtract from 90 degrees for the North Pole and the South Pole to get the Arctic and Antarctic circles. You would get 66.56 degrees north or south for the Arctic and Antarctic circles, respectively. You're still supposed to ignore the decimal point. It's still not the 666 number that the Bible calls for. But at least it's addressing somewhat the heliocentric model, at least, talking about the Earth's axial tilt. But it's still a big fail. Number 26. Astronaut, that's being insulting, Peggy Whitson spent 666 days in space. Actually, she did spend that much, plus more. She actually spent a total of 695 days and 7 hours in space on the International Space Station over multiple missions. So they're still getting the number wrong. And what does this have to do with heliocentrism? Nothing. Another fail. Okay, number 25. The distance to the moon is 6 times 60 times 666 miles. That's pretty forcing the issue there, isn't it? You're supposed to ignore the 6 and the 60 and the 2 multiplication signs, apparently. But that calculation yields an answer of 239,760 miles. It turns out the moon has an elliptical orbit. Its distance from the Earth varies from 221,500 miles to 252,700 miles, an average of 237,100 miles. So they didn't get the average right even. So that number, it would be that distance at least once along the way during its orbit, but is he saying the average? No, that's wrong. Another fail. So number 24, the diameter of the moon is 6 times 6 times 60 miles. Well, that answer comes out to 2,160 miles, which is about right, but where is the 666 there? You're supposed to ignore the multiplication signs that has a 6 and a 0 after it. That doesn't work. So, another fail. Number 23. Sunset is divided into 3 events separated by 6 degrees. 6 plus 6 plus 6 degrees equals 18 degrees, aka civil, nautical, and astronomical sunset. That also happens to be true of sunrise as well, those 3. But that's not 666. You're supposed to ignore the plus signs in there or something. Your answer is 18 degrees. So, another fail. Okay, number 22. From Mercury, the sun is 666 times brighter using the inverse square law. Is that brighter compared to Earth? It doesn't even say. But we looked this up, and you can actually find that. The answer is 6.7 times brighter than compared to Earth. So somebody's just trying too hard to put the number in that they're after, and it's not working. Another fail. Number 21. Venus is 464 degrees Celsius or 867 degrees Fahrenheit. The median of these two numbers is 666. Oh my gosh, this guy is really torturing the numbers to get what he wants. He's mixing 2 different scales, Celsius and Fahrenheit, and it turns out those numbers are equivalent to each other. There's no reason to be averaging them together. And even if you did, your number is 665.5. so he's rounding off anyway. Wow, this is super failure and torturing the numbers to get what you want.
I'll make you a 6 if it takes all night.
Number 20. Mars is at 1.666 AU astronomical units from the Sun at aphelion. It's still not 666, the number he's trying to get. You're supposed to ignore the 1 in the decimal point in this example. He could have rounded off to 1.67. He rounded off in the previous example when we had 665.5, but he's not rounding off here. So it's being very selective and a sign of desperation to get the number he's after. But just so you know, at perihelion, the closest approach Mars has to the Sun, it's a 1.38 astronomical units. You could also use kilometers, 206.6 million kilometers at perihelion and 249 million kilometers at aphelion. This is just another failure. Number 19, Ceres, which is an asteroid, has a 466.6 day synodic period. Well, it's still not the 666 you're after. Plus the synodic period, you can look this stuff up, it's actually 460 days. And you have to ignore the 4 in the hundreds place and that there's a decimal point in the number. What a fail. Number 18. The comet Shoemaker-Levy collided with Jupiter traveling at 6 times 6 times 6 times 1,000 kilometers per hour. That comes out to 216,000 kilometers per hour, which is still not 666 that he's after. And you're supposed to ignore the multiplication points and the fact that there's 1,000 in there. And you can look up the actual number. The estimate is 221,000 kilometers per hour. So he's wrong in both cases anyway. What a fail. But now we have to ask, does the author admit that Jupiter and the comet are orbiting the Sun and had a collision? That supports the heliocentric model. Number 17. Saturn's orbital distance is 1,426,666,422 kilometers, or 9.54 AU. I don't know why he's putting in the 9.54 AU. That's not the number he's after. And then it's not the number he's after either, because the 6s are in the 100,000, 10,000, and thousands place. Not the right number. And besides, it's wrong. So you can look this stuff up. Saturn's distance at perihelion, its closest point to the Sun, is 1.35255 billion kilometers, or 9.58 astronomical units. Aphelion, when it's farthest from the Sun, is 1.5145 billion kilometers, or 10.12 astronomical units. The average is 1.433525 billion kilometers, or 9.58 AU. The number listed here, it does achieve at some point, but it's not the farthest point, the closest point, or the average. I think that's a fail. Number 16. The surface temperature of Uranus is -6 times 6 times 6 degrees. They don't even mention the units, but that's -216. And we don't know if it's Fahrenheit or Celsius, so we had to look up the temperature and found that it's -221 degrees Celsius. So it doesn't even match the number they're giving us, and I don't think the Bible ever had negative numbers in it. And you have to ignore the multiplication sign, so it's another cherry picking the factors. You could also get 216 by multiplying 27 times 8. They're just picking the numbers that they think prove something, but they don't. This is another fail. Number 15. The surface temperature of Neptune is -6 times 6 times 6 degrees. Again, they don't have the units. They're using negative numbers. And we had to look up Neptune again. This time it was a range of -214 to -218. So it's in the middle, but so what? The Bible doesn't have negative numbers in it. So another failure.
I'm seeing 6s everywhere I look.
Number 14. Pluto's orbital velocity is 4.666 kilometers per second. Again, you have to ignore the fact that the 4's in the 1's place and there's a decimal point there, and this is not the number that's in the Bible. Pluto's orbit, though, is elliptical, so it changes speed from 3.7 to 6.1 kilometers per second over the course of its complete orbit around the Sun, heliocentrism. Some sources use this average of 4.666, but others use 4.73 kilometers per second as the average. Either way, this is not the number that's in the Bible. This isn't showing evil the way the author thinks it does. Another fail. Number 13. NASA's budget is $18 billion, which they write as 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 18. 18's not the right number. You have to ignore the plus signs between the sixes. It's still not 666, the number prescribed in the Bible for the mark of the beast. It's all wrong. Plus, I looked up NASA's history, budgetary history. You can see that in Wikipedia, and I've only been $18 billion once in its history, and that was in 2015. This year it's $24 billion, so we're supposed to write that out as 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 to get 24, and show whatever. What a failure. Number 12. The speed of light is 670,616,629 miles per hour. This actually turns out to be the right number, but look at how he's torturing the numbers. It's got the 6 in the 100 million, 100,000, and hundreds place, and you think that somehow matches what's at the number in the Bible. And then he's leaving out the 6 that's in the thousands place, so there should be 4 of them, but he's going to leave that out just because. So this is a property that's been measured and doesn't support or debunk the heliocentric model. It's kind of irrelevant, actually. He's just torturing the numbers in there to get what he wants. The other way you can measure it, though, in science is with meters per second or kilometers per second. So the speed of light in meters per second is 299,792,458 meters per second. No 6's in that number. So here's another big fail. Number 11. Saturn's hexagonal pole is a 6-sided, 6-pointed polygon representing a cube containing 6 triangles, 666, a hex. That's ridiculous. 6 sides is just 6 sides. The number he's after is 666, and you don't get that from 6-sided shape with 6 points or vertices or 6 triangles contained within it. You're not getting that number. And this would apply to all hexagons, not just the pole of Saturn, which you can see in this picture here. Actually, it does form a hexagonal shape, and they're trying to figure out why that happens. I think it's part of a storm, actually, moving that way. But the author is still failing. Number 10. A day is 23 hours, 56 minutes, but we round it to, no we don't actually, round it to 60 seconds, 60 minutes, and 24 hours. 2 plus 4 equals 6. Boy, that's really torturing the numbers. Besides, a day is 24 hours when you include the time it takes for the Earth to point back at the sun. So we're not rounding off. There's actually a name for that. And we're not adding the 60 seconds and 60 minutes and a 2 plus 4 hours. That's ridiculous. What a failure. Number 9. The solar system is traveling at an average speed of 626,000 kilometers per hour. It's still not the number he's after. But look at this. Torturing the numbers. 6 times 2 gives it another 2 6's. And plus 6. So ignore the multiplication signs, ignore the plus signs. And what do you get anyway? 18. That's not the right number. What a super failure. Number 8. The distance from the tip of South America to the tip of Africa is 6,660 kilometers. Still not the numbers after, but we looked it up and it's actually 5,930 kilometers, so he's wrong on both counts. And besides, what does the distance across the surface of the Earth have to do with heliocentrism? It's not showing any deception, no proof of any kind. Another fail. Number 7. North America is 66.66 degrees wide on a globe from Key Largo, Florida to Yesterday Isle, Alaska. That's still not the 666 you're looking for from the Bible, and we looked it up, and the number, it turns out, subtracting the longitudes of those two places, we get 66.03 degrees, so they're wrong still. And again, what does the width across the globe have to do with heliocentrism? Failure. Number 6. Eurasia on the globe model is 6,066 nautical miles. There's a 0 in the hundreds place. That's not the right number either. And he didn't list any points where he was measuring from, so we looked it up from Portugal to Siberia and got 8,640 nautical miles. So they're going from degrees to nautical miles, trying to cook up some numbers, torture some numbers. But what does this have to do with heliocentrism, distances on a globe? It's irrelevant and another failure. Number 5. South America on the globe model is 66.6 degrees long. Again, we don't have a 6 in the hundreds place, and you have to ignore the decimal place. It's still not the right number, and we looked it up. We found 68.5 degrees for an answer. He's wrong again. And what, again, measurement of degrees or nautical miles or kilometers across the globe, what does that have to do with heliocentric model? It has nothing to do with it, and that's why it's another fail. Number 4. On the globular map, why do you say it that way? I don't know. Africa is 66.6 degrees wide from Dakar to Somalia. Again, this isn't the number in the Bible he's trying to imply, and it's we looked it up. It's 68.8 degrees, so he's wrong on both counts. And again, measuring distance across the globe, what does that have to do with heliocentrism? Failure. Number 3. Google's GPS logo and CERN's have 666 hidden in plain sight. No, they don't. Can you look at those? I don't see it in Google's GPS logo, and CERN's logo, you could interpret those as 9s instead of 6s. It's that it has a ring, it's a large hadron collider, and it has to go in a circle to accelerate the particles. So, what does this have to do with heliocentrism? Is this guy ever going to present evidence that he thinks debunks heliocentrism? Or is he just going to keep failing? Number 2. Saturn is the 6th planet from the Sun. Saturn Day is the 6th day of the week. Most calendars it's the 7th day. Saturn is the 6th chakra, the 3rd eye. What does that have to do with the Bible? Saturn represents Satan. I don't think so. And his mark is 666. No, that has nothing to do with heliocentrism. So this guy fails. And what the author decided to say for the number 1 spot, reverse original for NASA is 666. Well, this is based on gematria, which has been debunked as a thing. And of course, the English language didn't exist when the Bible was written. But he's saying if you take the name of the acronym National Aeronautics and Space Administration and convert those to numbers and add them all up, you do get 666. He actually got the number right for once. But this is where you assign 1 to the letter Z and 26 to the letter A, and that's how it's reversed. But if the original going forward, where A is equal to 1 and Z is 26, you get 441. So again, he's just picking the one that he thinks proves something. But the thing is, the heliocentric model is very safe from this guy because it was established centuries before NASA even existed. And this gematria numbering thing doesn't prove anything. Last and final fail. So to sum up, whoever authored this list, 33 degrees of the heliocentric deception, was trying to invoke the mark of the beast in the Bible's book of Revelation, but the number is 666, so it has to be 6 in the hundreds place, 6 in the tens place, and 6 in the ones place, 666. If you're going to be taking the Bible literally true, then you'd have to take the number to be literally true. And using that as the standard, this 31 item list, only 28 don't meet that standard. So that only leaves 3. And we'll look at those just in summary. So item 30 on the list says the speed of sound is 666 knots per second. Knots is already a speed, nautical miles per hour, so adding the per second makes it an acceleration. So this is wrong. Plus, the speed of sound varies depending on air pressure and temperature, so it doesn't stay that number. Plus, this doesn't have anything to do with the heliocentric model. Number 29 on the list, the force of gravity on Earth is 666 newtons, only if you weighed 149.7 pounds, or 67.95 kilograms, would you get that number. Newtons is a force that varies depending on the masses involved. And again, this doesn't address the heliocentric model. And the last one that he saved for number 1, I guess. Number 1, reverse original for NASA's 666. That's true if you use gematria and you assign 1 to the letter Z and 26 to the letter A. You will get that number. But so what? The heliocentric model was proven and well established before NASA ever existed. It didn't come into being until 1958, and the heliocentric model's been known to be true for centuries before that. So none of these things address the heliocentric model. It's a total failure. But I feel sorry for the numbers that this guy had to torture in order to make it fit his preconceived notion. Poor things.
I'm not a 6. I'm a 7. Stop! You're hurting me.
So it's obvious the only one engaged in deception here is the person who put together this list and had to torture those poor numbers. But if you like this sort of content, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, and we promise we'll never torture numbers.